next we'll discuss about some more attributes here. See, one more type of attribute is the language attribute. See, how to use the language? See, the language attribute specifies the scripting language used in the JSP page, right? See, what is the scripting language used in the JSP page? See, by default, you're going to use the Java, right, as the scripting language. See, what happens here, we have the different vendors here. See, for example, you take the different types of servers. You take an Apache server, you take a Glassfish server, you take a Glassfish server. So the different vendors will have the different implementation here. See, the Java language features is being provided by whom? That is Oracle, right? So the features will be provided by the Oracle. That implementation, it's left to the vendor, right? So the vendor will implement in his own way. See, they are using the Java. See, you have other scripting languages also, right? But they are not using it. But they are using the Java as a default language, right? So we are having various scripting language, but if they use that scripting language, they have to implement in that particular language, right? So the default scripting language, they have used it here, it is a Java, right? So this is Java language attribute. Now you just see here, we have another two important attributes called as an error page and IsError page. See, what is an error page and what is an IsError page? Now see here, if the current JSP page has got an exception, right? What is that exception? See, 100 number divided by 0, right? The errors which do not occur during the compile time, it occurs during the runtime. That is what you call as an exception, right? So if the current page, you want the current page to handle that exception, right? Current page means what? The JSP page to handle that exception, right? How you are going to do this, right? You are going to use this error page attribute, right? See, then you are going to redirect this particular error which is occurred in the current page to my error page.jsp. This error page will handle that exception which is occurred in this page, right? See here how we have to specify an attribute. If the current JSP page you have an exception, it will be redirected to this particular page, right? Is error page, right? It will be redirected to which page? My error page.jsp. So here you just see this at the rate, say how you are going to specify this exception to be handled at the rate of page is error page equals to true, right? Is error page equals to true. Now the exception, you're going to call the exception and you're going to print the cause of an exception here, right? Now I'll just demonstrate this particular attribute here using NetBeans editor. See, now here I have created one web application. The name of web application is error demo. Here I have created the 2 pages here. See, here I have 3 pages here. What are the 3 pages here? One index.jsp, right? See, what is this page? It is having one form element and it is having 2 text boxes. that is N1. What is the name of the first text box? N1. The name of the second text box is N2. Right. Now what happens here? See here. Now here when I click the submit button, so it will be redirected me to this process.jsp page. Process.jsp. Here we have this process.jsp. See what happens here. See, by using this implicit attribute request, see, this is what you call it as a scriptlet tag, right? So we have discussed about this scriptlet tag. By using this implicit object request, you are using this get parameter, you're going to access this value. Which value? That is N1, right? So you're going to access this value, where here you're going to access first value, suppose 10, here 20, here 5. 10 will be saved in this number 1, 20 will be saved in this number 2, right? After that, what happens? You are going to see, you are going to convert to this integer. This number 1, num1 you have, you're going to, using this parse int, integer dot parse int, you are going to convert to the integer and you're going to save it into this variable a. Then what happens? Then number 2, integer, by using this integer dot parse int, you're going to accept this number and you're going to save it into the b. Then you are going to divide a divided by b, right? Then see, 10 divided by 2, you're going to print it as 2, right? So you're going to print this 2, then you're going to print the result, right? But what happens? See here, if what happens in index.jsp, you think that you have entered the second value as 0. You have entered the second value as 0. What happens here in process.jsp? So number divided by 0, here the exception arises. When that exception arises, what happens? You're going to redirect that exception in error.jsp. Where is this error.jsp? Here. See here, these particular page will print the cause of an exception, divide by 0. It will print the cause of an exception. See, what is this? This is one of the implicit object, right? We have discussed in the implicit object, right? Then percentage equals to exception. And one more important thing you should remember that, see here, in process.jsp, you have to redirect it error.jsp. In error.jsp, you have to set this attribute as true. Then only this exception will be displayed, right? Otherwise, what happens if it is false? That exception you are not going to display. See, for example, I'll just show you. I'll set to true. True. Now what happens? I'm going to deploy this particular project. See, deploy. When I'm going to deploy this, when I deploy and run, what happens? See here, I'll use this Chrome browser. See here. So my project is being deployed. See what happens here. See, I'll run this project. See, when I run this project, what is that I'm going to get here? When I run this project, when I enter the first number as 10, second number as 5, when I click the divide button, what happens? So there is no exception is being generated in the current JSP, right? Now you just see this, the same thing. Again, I'm going to refresh this. Now 10. Next, I'll enter the second number as 0 here. Okay. In this page, the current page generate the exception and it will redirect to the error.jsp. In that error.jsp, IsError attribute I have set to true here. Now you just see it is going to printing that exception. Exception is java.lang.exception by 0. Right? Now, next case, what I'll do, see here. Now I am going to set to false. This one. IsError page, I am going to set to false. Now what happens? The exception will not be displayed. Right? See, now when I run this particular page, see here. Now if I'm going to enter this 10, then 0. Now I made that IsError page as false. Now when I click the divide, you just see what happens here. See what happens here. The process in the current page, that is, you just see this URL here. It is not been redirected to error.jsp. When exception generate, just it will throw an internal server error. Right? See, this particular exception page occurs. Right? But if you want to know the cause of an exception, so you have to redirect to IsError page and you have to set that attribute as true. Then it will print the cause of an exception. Otherwise, if in the particular page, that is JSP page, exception occurs, it will throw an exception. It will give that HTTP status code internal server error. Okay. So this is about today's class. Okay. Thank you and see you in the next class.